Russian troops and the Wagner group have taken control of the embattled town of Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine, where brutal fighting has continued for months. The UK Ministry of Defense said in its daily intelligence update. Ukrainian Special Operations Forces said on Telegram they had eliminated at least a company of Russian troops and destroyed the Orlan 10 unmanned aerial vehicle. The video was taken from the cockpit of an armored car as it approached Bakhmut, including on a broken dirt road, when an enemy projectile or mine exploded near the car. Then footage of sniper and machine gunner work is shown, including through thermal imaging sites. Fighting also raged in southern Ukraine over the weekend, with Russia targeting Odessa and Ukraine bombarding targets in the occupied city of Melitopol. The attack on Wagner headquarters in the east came amid further fighting in southern Ukraine. In recent weeks, Russian forces have advanced north and south of Bakhmut, cutting off 3 of Ukraine's 4 supply routes and making the defenders' position even more precarious. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on March 17 that Russia had lost 163,320 troops in Ukraine since the start of the invasion. This number includes the 760 casualties that Russian forces have suffered over the past few days. The Russian Regular Army and Wagner Group troops have recently gained a foothold west of the Bakhmutka River in the center of Bakhmut, where the Ukrainian military is continuing its defense. On a broader front, however, Russia is conducting some of the lowest-level local offensive actions seen since at least January 2023. Elsewhere, Russian air defenses shot down 4 missiles over the Belgorod region bordering Ukraine on Monday, its governor said, adding that 1 person was injured. Another key area of concern for the enemy was the Lyman direction, Luhansk region, where for several days in a row the enemy set a record for being hit by artillery fire. Russian forces have suffered significant equipment losses over the past few days, including a T-72 tank, 1 Tigr armored car, tulip mortars, and 2 Payan self-propelled guns. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine noted that despite significant losses, the invaders did not give up their intention to enter the administrative borders of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, focusing their main efforts on conducting offensive actions on Kupian, Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka direction, and Novopavlov. Russian troops may have lost dozens of armored vehicles during the failed assault on the eastern Ukrainian city of Vuhledar. Vuhledar, a Ukrainian-controlled stronghold at a strategic crossroads between the eastern and southern fronts, has seen some of the bloodiest fighting of the war as Russia continues its relentless assault on the eastern front. A military blogger said on Thursday that 31 tanks had been destroyed by Ukrainian drones after they were sent without artillery cover. Gray Zone, the semi-official Telegram channel of the mercenary group Wagner, said in a post that disasters are brewing around Vuhledar, and they're happening time and time again. Vuhledar has emerged as a key point in the struggle for control of the Donetsk province and the wider Donbass region. Currently, Russian troops control the outskirts of the city while Ukrainian forces control the city center. On the other hand, the mercenaries from Wagner's group suffered significant losses against Bakhmut. The Russians also lost at least 50 soldiers every day, forcing them to replenish their ranks with prisoners. Over the last few weeks, Russia has intensified its attacks on Bakhmut and is close to laying siege to the apocalyptic-looking city, where 70,000 residents once lived. The Russians carried out a continuous attack on the Ukrainian defenses of the city from all sides. Russian troops attacked Kherson Oblast 76 times, firing 413 projectiles at Oblast settlements, according to the Kherson Oblast Military Administration. The attack reportedly injured 1 person in the area and damaged medical facilities, homes and apartment buildings in the city of Kherson. In Chernihiv Oblast, 4 villages close to the Russian-Ukrainian border were attacked over the past 24 hours. Russia also shelled the villages of Novoselivsk, Nevsk, and Belohorivka in Luhansk Oblast, the local government said on Telegram. It does not provide information about casualties or damage. The Russian military used mortars and grenade launchers to attack the Bilopilia and Shalihain communities in Sumy Oblast on March 16, according to the local government. At the same time, Wagner is continuing efforts to expand its own ranks, including the recent opening of recruitment centers in 42 Russian cities, according to Prigozhin. It seems that the Kremlin has also increased the supply of ammunition to the Bakhmut front. After today, Prigozhin thanked the government for the heroic increase in ammunition production. According to Reuters, the Wagner Group is now receiving ammunition produced this year, while Prigozhin spoke of ammunition being now produced in large quantities, covering all the necessary requirements. Prigozhin, however, continued to warn that a wider ammunition shortage could still impact the Wagner Group and regular troops. "I am worried about the shortage of ammunition and shells not only for the private military company Wagner, but also for all units of the Russian army," he said. On the Ukrainian side, the authorities have remained steadfast in their plan to try and keep Bakhmut at bay, at least for now. However, how realistic this is in the long term is unclear, with casualties now running at around 100 to 200 per day. For Russia, Thursday's attack was retaliation for last week's alleged cross-border attack, the details of which are still sketchy. Russia's defense ministry said that a massive counterattack hit all of its intended targets, destroying drone bases, disrupting rail lines, and damaging weapons manufacturing facilities. The Washington Post also wrote that while the Russians were advancing near Bakhmut, the Ukrainians were digging in reserve defensive structures. The Ukrainian artillery positions closest to the heavy fighting for Bakhmut were hidden in the woods some 13,000 feet from the enemy. The soldiers had been holding out here for weeks, throwing 122mm shells at the Russians trying to outflank the town. If the Russians came even a little closer, the Ukrainians would have had to move their guns back to avoid overhead enemy fire, the platoon commander told the Washington Post.